Hi, and welcome everyone to the Cyberspeaks Labs YouTube channel. My name is Reanna Schultz, and I really wanted to go over a fun topic. If you're not familiar with what's going on in the news right now, well, TikTok apparently, allegedly, will be going bye-bye in the United States by end of January 2025. If you do not know anything about this topic, I highly recommend you to do your research, kind of read around about it. And full disclosure, this episode essentially, it's not going to go into the political side. It's not going to go into my personal opinions about what we should and should not do with TikTok at all. But I am going to use this opportunity as a great moment to teach more about data privacy, security awareness, and exactly what does it mean to be aware with what's happening with your digital data. And if you're not familiar about your digital data, I always like to use an analogy. And this is essentially, hey, you have a home, right? If you think about what's in your home, you might have your basic living appliances like your kitchen or your toilet, a shower, a sink. You might have some furniture, a TV, right? And then there's also the skeletons in the closet that we keep in our home. The ever weary, eerie drawer next to your bed, or maybe specific medications you keep in your cabinet. Some people hide their social security card or their passport, right? These are very sensitive types of documents and artifacts that we keep in our house. Now, let's also imagine the types of foot traffic that comes in through your house, right? We probably have family, close friends, and then we also have strangers. Strangers might be a friend of a friend or a salesperson, or maybe it's people touring your home because your home is on the Parade of Homes tour. I don't know, whatever that stranger might look like, right? And how we treat our friends, our close friends, and our family in our home, right? They probably have much better access to things like the dishwasher, the bathroom, right? Maybe you have that one friend that knows where all the cups are in the house and where the good snacks are, where a stranger might not have that level of access. And data privacy on websites and stuff like that, we can imagine it the same. We have our behavioral data, which is our day-to-day internet browsing, what articles we click, maybe advertisements, because that behavioral browsing is essentially used to cater our internet experience. We like to have things that are more catered to our, I would say, taste. I have one friend who just has a bunch of Temu and Wish ads on their Facebook and stuff like that, and they enjoy that. That's for them. I have another friend who goes on Craigslist a lot and they look up tractors, and that's pretty much what their internet news and stuff is catered towards, is farming equipment. But again, that's what behavioral is meant for. It's meant to enhance your internet browsing experience. So now if we go into a more informational or sensitive side of data privacy, this is essentially areas where we have data that we would consider a little bit more close hold, such as first and last name, your email address, your phone number. This types of information, if it's shared, this is how you might get an increase of marketing emails or an increase of marketing phone calls and stuff like that, because you're handing out that information to that website, and how they use it, well, it hopefully is outlined in their data privacy policy. Now, more sensitive type of information, this can be things such as your political or religious views. Some people would consider biometrics sensitive, or even their health records, because if this information was leaked out or shared in an unauthorized way, this can bring potential harm to yourself or even your personal brand as well. So having that information, keeping close hold, is very, very important. And we can consider, in the analogy we used earlier, sensitive information can probably be the creepy bedside drawer, or that one place where you keep all your credit cards and very trusted financial information. So eventually, right, this is how we have specific data regulations. There is multiple different ones. Some that people are very familiar with might be HIPAA. and this is how medical information is kept confidential and stuff like that. So there's a whole plethora of it. I do not have a background in GDPR, data governance. I'm not a legal professional whatsoever, right? This is just my education from my experiences working on the defense side. So if you ever want to learn more about data privacy, there are a ton of resources that you can look through just by typing learning data privacy on Google. There's also plenty of YouTube videos. And of course, I always recommend going on Blue Sky, X, and LinkedIn to follow people who are in the field. So that way you can learn more about exactly what's going on in the industry as well. So anyways, I could continue talking on and on about this, but I really wanted to deep dive more into what's happening with TikTok, what we can do as consumers of the product, and understand really what is happening with our data, where our data is going, and how can we take this, understand the risk, and also understand how to educate not only ourselves, but our friends and family, right? TikTok is just one example. There's a lot of other appliances, applications that use our data. And yes, I said appliances. My dishwasher is on Wi-Fi, and that's so I can start it from my bed in the morning. But again, why do I need that? What's going on with my data at home? So anyways, this is just tip of the iceberg. It's something that I, again, really wanted to go over because it is a trending topic, and I love debunking people's theories and just also, hey, this is happening real world. I want to be engaged with what is going on around me. They seem to be pretty engaged. This was posted recently within the months. And what I enjoyed about this article, and this is why I'm sharing it, is the visuals. If you do not watch any of my other YouTube videos, you will learn I am a skimmer, which is also ironic as to why we're doing this video, because I am one to not read a privacy policy. And I know, gasp, Reanna, you work in cyber, you should know, you should be, the presenting role model of reading data privacy policies. And I'm going to be honest, just because I work in cyber, it doesn't mean I'm a perfect role model. I also like to put myself in the shoes of the user, so that way when I do make content like this, where I'm talking about, hey, how can we make this usable? I understand the pain. I understand the pain of privacy policies. Like I hate reading legal jargon. That's why I didn't go on the criminal justice side. I enjoy the hunt. That's why I'm on the defense side. And sorry to anyone watching this that's in legal or data governance. I'm sorry. I can't read policies all day. I just can't. I can't sit still that long. But that's why you guys are good at your job, and that's why I'm good at my job over here. Now, what's interesting, if we look through all these different charts and stuff like that, it's very apparent how popular TikTok is. And I believe they did unless I scroll through it while talking, they did a breakdown of how much revenue TikTok makes, and we're talking about in the billions. And if we look here, and we're discussing about how North America is gonna have a block with this soon, this is gonna be a large impact of users to TikTok, right? And will they take a financial hit? Probably, but at the same time, I don't know. Maybe TikTok's gonna be popular in other areas again. But again, right, this is kind of interesting to read. If this does get banned, what's gonna be the impact? How is this even gonna impact the United States? And if we think about it, even though there's the reasons as to why it might get banned and stuff like that, if I'm a consumer of TikTok and I'm using TikTok for my business, right? This is free advertisement and marketing that my business won't have. Now, will this put my business in bankruptcy? Probably not, right? There's tons of other social media outlets and other ways to advertise that's budget friendly. But again, this is just me in the back of my mind, not wearing my security hat as to why I might not be happy with this, or even just people who use TikTok for their influencing or social media content, and they make revenue off of that. Like, that's their primary job. Again, they probably are gonna have to find work in a different platform, or maybe a corporate job, or whatever that looks like. So there's gonna be some impact on the user consumer side and just how the market works with that. But again, right now we're putting on our cyber defense hat. We talk about how data privacy is a concern. And what does that mean? What exactly is TikTok doing? What can I do as a user to understand this? And again, right, full disclaimer, I am not a person that works in legal or data governance. So am I gonna be 100% correct on stuff like this? No, but we're all on a journey together, and we're all gonna be learning about this as a team, right? Yay, one team, one fight. So now, when I was doing research as to how can I understand privacy policies, how can I understand where my data is going, how can I as a day-to-day user do this, I came across a couple of things that's very, very, very interesting that you might also find interesting as well. One of them is something I actually learned in college. I remember talking about privacy checkers and talking about how data policies aren't usable and this and this and that. And I had to dig some digging, but this is called Privacy Check, and it is a extension for Firefox browsers. I don't know if this works for Google Chrome, but I did run this on the TikTok privacy policy, and we'll get there in a second. But it's a free check, and you will get a privacy warning if you do download this through Firefox, because it is open source. It's not really maintained like other extensions and stuff like that, but it covers some highlighted topics that I as a consumer should be caring about when I sign up for these different types of platforms. And we can see here we talk about email addresses, credit cards, social security, all the way down here. And what's interesting, and I'm probably not going to get through this with this video, but children's PII. And this is important because these are minors who were using a online platform. And I remember back in my day when Facebook was starting to take off, they preached, like in my school, they preached about how we should be very cautious with what we put on social media. It's going to follow us one day. And of course, me being a naive 13-year-old, I'm like, yeah. And then as I go into my big girl job and I start entering corporate America, I'm like, oh man, I do not want my employers to see what I looked like and what I did in 8th grade. I had braces, I played the clarinet. Like, I do not need this held against me on April Fools or my birthday. Like, this is gonna be a meme. And so, I started cleaning up my social media as I got older. And I feel like that's not really educated these days on people and their children. And now we take a whole other aspect of where does their data go. And so this sent me down a loophole as well, because now I started getting curious as to, are parents really understanding not only their own data privacy, but are they understanding their child's privacy, right? Because me personally, I'm not gonna put my child downtown Kansas City, since that's where I'm from, downtown Kansas City. I'm like, okay, go talk to strangers, let them know what ponies you like. No, like there's red flags. So again, it's different online, right? There's not a face behind what's happening, but still same concept. We want to protect our house as best as we can. And again, we start that with education. So when I was going on and doing my research with this, I came across a very awesome YouTube video, and I highly recommend checking it out. His name is, oh man, I'm going to butcher his last name. His name is Gary Kovacs, and he has an amazing background in the tech field. He was technical, and then he went to the business side and stuff like that. In fact, I have his Wikipedia pulled up here because I was creeping on him for a bit. But I came across his TED Talk, and this TED Talk was absolutely eye-opening to me, because he hits the key points that I just talked about, right? What's happening with our data? What about our children and stuff like that? So he goes and talks about this extension for Firefox called Collusion. And it shows where exactly the data is going, how the data is being handled. And you have all these dots up here, and he deep dives into essentially the dots represent different parties of who's seen your data. how many parties that you know of or should be disclosed, and how many parties essentially sell that data to another party to make their profit. So it gave some eye-opening, because he not only showed his data behaviors and how his data is being handled, but then he did his daughters. And it blew my mind that his child, who was not even a teenager when this video was recorded, and what was going on with her data. So it's very eye-opening, and I recommend anyone to, and it's not that long of a video, it's 6 minutes, you can see down here, but within the first 3 minutes, he just dives right into this. And it's very informative, it's technical, but it's also in layman's terms that it just opens your eyes and you're like, oh, wow. It's one thing to hear about where my data is going, but to actually see it blows my mind. So I was like, okay, if we're talking about TikTok, right? For stepping back someone, we're talking about TikTok. I already have the privacy check, right? So this is gonna hit the different types of data that I would be concerned about. And we can probably say that some of those might be sensitive data, like I consider my social security card, my credit card sensitive data. Me as like also my behavioral one, definitely as a marketing, right? I want to make sure when I scroll through TikTok videos that I have an experience that's geared towards me. And I will fully disclose here, I do not have a TikTok account. I've never had a TikTok account. And there's been times where I'm like, oh, maybe I should download TikTok just to see what the like buzz or whatever is about. But then I realized most of the time content creators, like really popular ones, they'll also post it on YouTube or Instagram. So then I'm just like, I'm okay not being in real-time updates. Like I'm okay being a couple of days late to a trend and just seeing what it's about. And so yeah, this is gonna be a whole new experience. You're gonna see me download TikTok, or at least sign up through it online, and we're gonna see what happens with my data. I'm very curious. And again, right, this is for education purposes for you all as well. And not only that, I really wanted to go and try Gary's extension that he talks about here. And I went, oh my goodness. This video, right, was 2012, and I'm like, I cannot find this extension on the store. So I ended up just, researching what happened to this extension, and it ended up being renamed. So I found an article about this on Cornell University, and it looks like they talked about it in a couple of their classes, which is really, really cool. People should. And down here, this was posted in 2012 too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but they had a cute little link here for the Firefox add-on, and I found the GitHub for it by going through this, and it looks like it got rebranded from Collusion to Lightbeam. Okay, I mean, I guess the name's still cool in a way. So I finally found it on the Chrome store. You can tell it's very popularly used. It has over 2,000. And then if you look down the screenshots, I'm like, okay, cool. So this is exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and install this just because, right, it's part of us learning more about what happens to our data. And I already have this installed, like I said before. So first things first that I'm going to do, I'm going to go to TikTok's privacy policy. And to me, as a normal user, like I said, I most of the time do not read the privacy policy. I see the little pop-up and I hit accept all or reject all. Honestly, I click the button that is already highlighted and bolded and in my face. And whether or not that's the best way to do it, probably not. But down here, I'm like, okay, we're gonna read this for the first time. And again, I don't have TikTok. I understand like the gist of it. You make videos and you just watch people do stupid things on the internet. I don't know, like the cinnamon challenge. That was the thing when I was younger. People would try to eat a spoonful of cinnamon, and I never did it because everyone looked like they were in pain. But I don't know what kids are doing these days. I just be safe. But as I go down here, I'm gonna be real honest, like it's so boring. It is absolutely so boring. And maybe it's because it's all the same text. Like the only thing that is bolded or the redirect links to other things. But even down here, like I said, I'm not gonna really highlight the children and teens section, but apparently like it's just, it looks like a normal privacy policy to me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to the very top, and I'm just gonna go ahead and run this privacy check. And I did it earlier just to make sure it works, so it's probably gonna auto-populate. So I'm just gonna hit run again, just to see what I get. And it's split into, looks like 10 different categories here. And one thing I've learned is you're not always going to get a 100% score, right? Unless like it's literally just a blank page on the internet that's just HTML, it doesn't collect anything, you visit it, and that's even then, right? But especially platforms like Meta or X or TikTok, they're going to use your data. And again, right, because they're trying to gear that content and your, I would say, preferences towards you. It's gonna be unique to each person. So it's not gonna have 100%. But this is where we come in and we think about, okay, how is our data being used? How am I gonna understand this? And it looks like from here, it got a 75.7. I'm not sure if that's good or not, but I'm gonna say it's good. Now, if we hover over here, this is where we can see the different categories. So we have email addresses. So they ask for it, but they use it for intended services. We have credit card numbers. This is green, so they don't ask for your social security. And it looks like down here, they do not knowingly collect PII from children. Even though I'm pretty sure I see kids use TikTok all the time. But I guess anyone can check a box saying that they're 18. Anyways, looks like for law enforcement, they require warrants or subpoenas, and then policy changes. So when they update their privacy policy, you get notified, but you can't opt out of the different changes. And then there was one up here, marketing. They do use your PII for ads, but they do not sell or share it with third parties. So that's also interesting to me. Makes me, again, right, I'm not a legal person, so I don't know exactly down to the grain of salt what they would consider a third party, right? Maybe like, are they still allowed to share it with businesses they own? Is that a third party if it's owned under the same parent company? I don't know. I'm not a legal person, but again, right, these are just hypothetical questions. And then aggregated data. So they aggregate data, but they remove PII information first. And there was also, man, where was it? It had something to do, location. Yeah, that was one I remember seeing I found interesting. So they track it, but for the intended service. And that's also another thing. I feel like everyone has a different classification for PII. So this can be first and last name. This can be anything tied to an individual, but again, that is on such a broad scale. So very, very, very interesting on some of this stuff. So one thing that I'm going to do, I also like to use emerging technologies as I do my own, I would say, open source intelligence. And I don't want to say research because it's not research. You know, this is just me using these open source tools to figure out more. But if you open this up, for example, we see here that they ask for it, but it's used for only attended services. And then it highlights the following shows all information in the privacy policy that the extension found relevant to the above PII. Again, you know, this extension is going to have probably a different definition of PII compared to what TikTok has. But again, each text snippet is separated by the character. So this is what they found that made this, I would say, what did they call it? They called it at risk, right? So there's potential at risk here. And I'm just gonna look through one of these bullets. So messages. Oh, I remember this being a thing. People were complaining that TikTok can read your messages. So messages, which include information you provide when you compose, send, or receive through the platform's messaging functionalities. They include messages you send through our chat, when communicating with sellers who sell goods to you, and use your virtual assistants when purchasing items through the platform. That information includes content of the messages and information about the message, such as when sent, received, or read, or participants. Please be aware that messages you choose to send will be accessible by those users that were not responsible in the manner. So basically, this is where like, even I'm like, I'm making sure I'm understanding this correctly. Messages you send to use other users of the platform will be accessible. So I'm guessing like TikTok, again, I don't have TikTok, so I don't know. So I'm guessing if I'm a person who's selling goods through TikTok and I have my services hosted through TikTok, TikTok doesn't control what those services have or puts a limit on it. So if I'm messaging that product owner and they send me a link, and what happens to my data through that is onto that party, not TikTok. So again, I could be wrong, but this is where and this is where I'm going to cheat just a little bit here. So I'm going to copy this sentence, and I'm actually going to use ChatGPT. It's cheating. You know what? No, it's not. It's me using the tools that we have here. So I'm just gonna paste this message, and I'm just gonna say, hey chat, can you put this in layman's terms? And I'm just gonna wait for what chat has to say. So when you send or receive messages through the platform, that information is collected. This includes the content of your messages as well as details. Yes, we understand that. If you send messages to other users, they can see them, and we're not responsible for how those users might use or share your messages. Okay, I guess I was kind of on the dot, a little bit off. So what I'm gonna do now, because that's just one snippet, right? I want all of this. So I'm gonna copy this, and again, I'm gonna put this in chat, and I'm just gonna say, hey chat. I feel like I'm writing to my diary when I talk to ChatGPT. Dear diary, help me with my homework. Hey chat, can you make this into a readable list? Can you also highlight the concerns about data sharing? Dear diary, today I learned about ChatGPT and data privacy. Okay. Speaking of catering to experiences, which one do I like more? I'm gonna go with this one because I use numbers that I like. Sure. Okay, so what we have here. So information collected, the username, age, password, content. So this is okay. So this is nice. It just breaks down everything that they collect. This to me makes, I don't know, I would prefer to read this over the giant privacy policy. And I know they have a privacy policy that's detailed for a reason, blah, 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 legal concerns, blah, 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 whatever. But again, right, this is me on the consumer side. This is not me working for TikTok, not me working in corporate America. This is me trying to understand this in the shoes of a consumer. And this is something that I, again, copy and pasted. I'm trying to do my due diligence of understanding the security risk here, what's being risky with my data, and what is being collected of me. Because again, if we use the analogy of a house, I don't want a stranger coming in my house and taking all of my picture frames and then selling it to someone on Facebook Marketplace. Like, that's not fair to me. Like, that's my stuff. I want to be able to know what's going on with my stuff. So, how TikTok shares your information. Again, one thing, and that's always a disclaimer down here with ChatGPT, ChatGPT is not the authoritative source. It makes mistakes. It's not 100% accurate, right? So I'm also taking this as a grain of salt because I don't have time to verify that like everything I shared with it, it spat out correctly and stuff like that. But again, it's gonna be a good starting point as guidance for me. And one thing I also want to try here is actually taking the privacy policy. And I wonder if chat can read this and output this information. Because in the older versions, it definitely didn't. Oh, that's cool. I always use 10 years old because I feel like that's enough for like layman's terms. I'm like, if a 10-year-old can understand this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it gave me a cute little paragraph. Again, that's not really what I'm looking for. So what I'm looking for is, what are the actual risks, right? What are the concerns found? How is my data actually being handled? And if I don't understand what data privacy is, can I understand like a scenario given with it? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna paste this back, and I'm gonna ask chat if chat can summarize this into a numbered list, and then can it identify what the risk is, and then also give me a scenario. Because again, right, if it can give me a list, I can point this out all day, but if I can't understand what's going on or like what the risk is, it's gonna be hard for me to make a judgment call as to how my data is being handled. Again, I haven't even created the account yet with TikTok, so this is just me trying to understand more before I even download the app, which we should all be doing, but whatever. I have so much junk on my phone that I just download all the like IO games and stuff like that. So like I said, I just pretty much asked ChatGPT to put this in a numbered list, highlight what the risk is, and then if the risk is true, what could happen to it. So we can use the message one, since that's the one that I originally started with as an example. So TikTok stores messages and shares content, including chats and virtual assistant interactions. The risk is messages can be seen by others if shared carelessly. So if we have a scenario, if you send sensitive information, the recipient or others could misuse it. So this is something that's called out in the privacy policy. And this makes sense to me now, because if I send my passport and number, social security, and my credit card information over a message in TikTok has no control how that recipient's going to use that information. So to me, this makes way more sense. I understand the risk now. And then third-party sharing, this is one that people often, in my opinion, don't understand to the full extent. I mean, there's times I don't, but chat went ahead and took it and summarized it. And again, right, it's used as a good guardrail, but it's not the authoritative source. TikTok shares data with companies like advertisers for better targeting. The risk is you may receive unwanted targeted ads, or your data could be used without your permission. So this scenario is, you see ads for products you recently browsed online because your activities linked across the platform. So that makes sense. Again, I will share a link in the description for all of these, essentially. I did a recent newsletter about this topic, and this is essentially what I'm going to link here. And it talks about the analogy I used about your home and private belongings and how that can relate back to data privacy. And then I also, again, put the privacy check down here as well, because again, I ran this tool earlier and I thought it was really cool. And I really just wanted to highlight again what chat spat out. So there's the whole list for all of TikTok's privacy findings can be found in this article. And again, I'll link it below if you are curious. The next thing I'm going to do, I want to actually sign up for TikTok. And I thought in my head before making this video, I'm gonna sign up for TikTok, and then what, right? I absolutely will most likely be deleting my account right after I create it, just for the sense of this video, because again, I'm not gonna use it. I have Instagram, I have YouTube, I'm pretty set. I'm okay with that. I don't need an additional app for doom scrolling. That's what Reddit and X is for, in my opinion. But again, we all have our different tastes and interests and stuff like that. Okay, so we can kind of see a little bit with what I have up here. I'm actually going to close some of these tabs. Okay, here we go. We reset our data. So first thing we're going to do is go to tiktok.com. And I haven't logged in yet, right? This is just like I call them clickbait videos, where they try to get people's attention first. And then then you kind of, in my opinion, get a little bit more addicted to the videos, and so you create an account just to watch more of this stuff, and then voila, you're addicted to doom scrolling on your phone for the rest of the day. So I always think it's interesting. It's people that clearly like, see, there you go, that are very popular on the platform. They're people that are clickbaity. They're people that try to grab your attention. So what we're gonna do here, I haven't even signed into the app yet, right? And this is what we have so far. So it looks like just a bunch of different TikTok services that are going out. Nothing out of concern. What's this? That's Fuse. Oh, okay. So what we're gonna do now, we're actually just gonna sign up. So let's see here. Okay, so this is my first time ever on TikTok. Okay, so we got a baby dancing over here. I also don't want to, I'll probably blur some of this stuff out because I don't want to take views away from people's accounts. You know, we work very hard being content creators. So I definitely don't want to sit here and just scroll or watch actual full videos. So what I might do is just scroll fast through these videos, maybe click on a profile or two. But again, right, I want to make sure these content creators actually get the views that they deserve and not through my channel. It's one of my grinding gear moments is when I watch people green screen over other videos and they're clearly just trying to repost the video with a tiny version of themselves green screening reaction to the bottom of it. And I've looked into this before. It's allowed, and again, right, this is where I'm a little naive with the legal side of things, but it's not copyright if you're technically reacting to a video, from my understanding. But at the same time, my opinion, I think it's still stealing views and reposting content. So if you are gonna do that, just give credit to the content creator. Some of my stuff, I've actually had a watermark because of those reasons and everything, and it's just it's hard at the end of the day. People spend a lot of time making these videos just for someone to steal it in under 3 seconds. But again, I don't want to accidentally do that as well. But what I am gonna do is go down here. Third party request 25. What does this do? This is me definitely debating on reading documentation on how to use this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm actually gonna bring this over to my other screen so you can't see me viewing other videos and stuff like that. But what I'm gonna do is leave this up, and I want to see if this updates in real time, because again, I'm just very curious. So oh, it looks like it updated here and the third party went up. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to start clicking on hashtags to see if anything else happens over here. So I clicked on a hashtag for polar bears, and there's a lot of like animal kingdom, animal awareness stuff, a polar bear eating an ice cube at the zoo. There's a lot of AI generated stuff, which is kind of fun to see. AI is it's crazy with what it's done. But one thing like they can't figure out is hands. I don't know why hands are so hard for AI. What happens if I maybe like a video? Does that do anything? So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna click the link that talks about monetizing, and it looks like it's through Effect House. It's called effecthouse.tiktok.com, and here I can pull this back over here. So this is something that I'm not familiar with because, again, I'm not a TikToker, but that's kind of cool and creepy at the same time. But yeah, so it looks like it considered this as a different website. There's definitely a payment plan page down here, and it looks, I mean, I don't know value to TikTok coins, but that's pretty cheap for 30 coins. So so it looks like it's through Venmo and stuff like, okay, looks like just general payment information all the way down to PayPal. So that's interesting. Again, I don't know what coins get you, but cool. Desktop notifications. Okay, so you can make your account private or a business account. And then this is automatically enabled, it looks like. And then browser notifications. Okay, so it looks like I can go in here to delete my account later. You literally cannot personalize this stuff. That's insane. That is wild. You can make a private, a business, a personal, or you can just turn this on and off. That is crazy. Why is it so hard to delete an account these days? I don't want it. Okay, cool. So I'll bring this back over here so you guys can see me delete my account. Yes, I understand the risk of not being able to access this. Okay, so we should be getting a code, which I just did. And then we got back to the page. Awesome. So now that we're done, I'm going to actually, let's see here. I'm gonna save data. Save. Oh, it opens it up as a JSON. Okay. So this is when I was clicking on the payment stuff. Okay, here's a list of third parties. And again, a lot of this stuff looks like it's needed for TikTok to function. It looks a lot of it is, again, part of it as well. Again, I'm just trying to see if there was anything interesting, and honestly, no, there wasn't, you know. I did learn more about the privacy policy itself, just because of how ChatGPT gave it back and stuff like that. Oh, here's a list of different third parties. So again, all of it. This looks like expected website stuff. Google. All of this looks expected. The payment e-commerce platform, it looks like it's calling to PayPal, which makes sense because they use PayPal. I don't know what Braintree Getaway is, but it looks like they might be pulling like a part of their framework for it. I don't know what part exactly. Yeah, see, here's an API they're calling to. It looks like their location preferences. Again, right, just, I mean, this one would be one where I'm like, I don't know what this is used for, but maybe it's part, again, of their e-commerce payment stuff because I was clicking around on it. But yeah, anyways, like I had no expectations with this. It's just kind of cool to see exactly what would be quote unquote third party. And again, right, not all the time is data sharing the worst thing because we're trying to cater it. But I want to make sure the data I am sharing is used the way I think it should be used. So again, this is just me kind of exploring the topic a little bit more. I don't have my own opinions about the whole TikTok thing just because I don't use it, and maybe I should educate myself a little bit more about the platform. But I don't use it, so I don't really have an opinion of the TikTok ban that is happening in the United States. But if you wanted to read the newsletter that like I said, I'll put in the description as well. But if you wanted to read the newsletter about how I kind of just went through the privacy policy just to understand it at a user level, because I cannot, I just can't read privacy policies. They're extremely boring. But again, right, it talks about the analogy that I went over earlier. It went over the privacy check results that I did. And this is not a sponsored video, right? It's a free tool. You can use it. It gives high level information. And then a little bit over as to how, again, I use TikTok and somewhat of the risk scenarios with this. Again, it's bringing insight into data privacy. It's not itself. I'm not highlighting anything good or bad about the upcoming TikTok ban or where people stay on it. Again, it's just me providing education to you guys. And I hope that you can learn something from this video. Maybe kind of try to understand privacy policies a little bit more. Of course, this has brought insight to me as well, because now I feel like I'm more equipped to learn more about data policy and data governance. And in 2025, we'll be having a awesome guest on the Defenders and Lab Coats podcast episode. I believe it's gonna be either Mayish, maybe a little bit later, because we got some guests to go through, but they work on the legal side in cyber, and so they're very knowledgeable. They're great to follow, and that's just kind of like a little preview I'm about to drop in release. But again, I hope that you guys learned something, or at least had some insight. And I'm sorry if this was not as eventful as you thought, as to where exactly is my data going on TikTok. Well, again, I can only see what I can see, right? I'm not sitting in the TikTok data servers and actually doing like a full analysis and PCAP capture as to where my data. No, right? I'm using open source tools, and again, I'm not the person that works in data governance or legal. I just work on the defense side. So this is my cup of tea. And if you don't enjoy my tea, I'm sorry, but at least it was, in my opinion, it's still good tea. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and thank you so much for joining me in the lab again and deep diving this assignment about data governance and data privacy. I hope to see you guys in the lab again soon. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and check out our Defenders and Lab Coats podcast. It's pretty fun. We have a lot of cool episodes and a lot of awesome, passionate guests that do join us. So anyways, I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.